And welcome to another episode of Rosecard Let's Play, but this is a different type of a video. It's not a Let's Play, it's a pickups video, as it would be suggested in the description below, the title of this particular episode. And this is actually inspired by a couple of really cool guys on YouTube. One of them is Johnny Millennium of Happy Console Gamer. Put an annotation right here for his channel. He's really cool. I've spoken to him a couple times online. He seems like a really super cool fella, so check him out. And then also Xander Scullion of the XS Gaming Podcast. I think I said it right. If not, you may want to fix that, or I'll just show it right here, right there. But these guys have occasionally do pickups videos, and I thought, well, I got some pretty cool games for January 2016. I'll do the same thing. Why the hell not? Show what I've gained for this past month. So we're gonna actually start off with a game that I'm really kicking myself for never having played before, until just recently when I got this game. This game came out in 1989 for the NES and was developed by Sunsoft, and it came out right around the same time when a high-profile Warner Brothers movie came out. I can't get the words out, holy shit. And these guys, Sunsoft, they came out with an awesome game to coincide with Batman. And I'm talking about Batman for the NES right here. Yay, check that out. Woohoo! But yeah, this game is awesome as hell. I've never played this before. When I was a kid, when I had a Nintendo, every time I got an allowance, and then stupid little kid that I was then, I'm so stupid today, would always just rent sports games, always be walking past games like this, and other really cool high caliber titles that came out at the time. And I really am kicking myself. I'd love to go, if quantum physics made it possible for us to time travel, I'd love to go back in time and tell my 10-year-old self, you are going to rent this game, you're going to go home, and you're going to play it, and you're going to love it. And I have to wait till I was 36 years old to actually do it, to actually get a copy of this game. And it's great. What makes this game so wonderful is, one thing, even though the graphics at the time were kind of primitive by today's standards, it was awesome to control. One of the cool things about this game is you get to actually wall jump. And this is when, games like Ninja Gaiden did wall jumping. This is before Mario ever did something like that. This is pretty much one of the first games to do wall jumping. At least that's what I think. And the soundtrack to this game, oh my god. I'll tell you, Sunsoft, they do a great job when they actually, when they're developing a game, they have people composing music for this. And the music that they would generate, from the game, oh my gosh. I was going to do one of these. Boy, it looks so fruity right there. But no, the game is awesome as hell. I got this really cheap online because I've been wanting this game for quite some time, because I saw other people play the game. It's great. Check it out. Another great game that I got for NES is kind of a sequel to the first Batman game, and it's not too bad of a title. It definitely has some graphical upgrades to it. I'm talking about Batman Return of the Joker. This game is really cool because I've actually seen screenshots of the game before. I've read articles about this way back in the day, and they were said that the graphics were so good you could have sworn it was a 16-bit game. And I think that was, I'm trying to remember what magazine it was. I want to say it was Game Informer back in the day. I'm not too sure. I can't remember. But they actually said that this game was beautiful graphics, and it does. And the soundtrack, just like in the first Batman game, awesome. Awesome soundtrack. The only problem with this game is its difficulty. Whereas Batman for the NES, it's a challenging game. This one really ramps it up. It actually takes a few pages from Castlevania. For instance, if you take a hit, you actually are thrown back, slide backwards. And that sucks. And it really sucks when you're right next to a pit and you get hit by an enemy and then down into the pit you go. That's bullshit. But the game is still a lot of fun, and I do recommend this. And I also want to recommend this as well. But, that just goes without saying. So, yeah. give these a try. And continue on with the Batman train. Well, 1989, you had the first Batman movie to come out. And then 1991, or no, it's 1992, excuse me. We had the sequel, which was Batman Returns, and this is for the Super Nintendo. Now, I played Batman Returns for the Sega CD on this channel before, and there's going to be a link down there below, or just click here, but don't really click here, just, well, you can do whatever you want to do, but anyways, I played the Sega CD game. It's pretty fun, I like it. This one is excellent. Developed by Konami, and I know that Konami has been under a lot of scrutiny lately, and I'm putting it very mildly. These guys really aren't, nobody really likes Konami right now because of some of the douchey things that they've done, but I like to think that, I like to just remember them for games like this, and other games I'm going to be showing you here in a little bit. They're also developed by Konami. But this game is a side-scroller beat-em-up. Just like arcade games such as Final Fight. Awesome game. The graphics are beautiful. They're dark. It's like watching a movie in some places because it takes actually scenes from the movie and turns it into some pretty cool stages. The music is great in this game because, well, it was composed by, the guys there at Konami. I don't know who the composer is. I might have to look that up. But the only problem I have with the music on here, and this has been on several Super Nintendo games, it's the reverb. It has that sort of like echoey sound in the soundtrack. I don't like that very much. I wish they wouldn't have done that, but hell. I guess they're trying to go for some sort of dramatic feel. This game is really cool. Definitely recommend this. Highly recommend this as well. And then one more Batman game to show you guys. This actually came out a couple years ago. It was on PS3, it was on Xbox 360, also on PC, and that is Batman Arkham Asylum. I keep bumping the microphone, sorry guys. Right there, this is the Game of the Year edition. Now, I haven't tried this out yet because I recently picked it up because, well, duh, for obvious reasons, I love Batman. But yeah, this game looks really great. I'm going to give it a try and probably come back and talk to you about this game here in the future. I might put like a posting on my Facebook page. You never know. But definitely excited to try this out. And that's it for Batman games. Now we're going to move on to something else that I loved as a kid and still love today, even though I am very much in question of how Michael Bay has been treating this, although the recent movie based on this property was not too bad. Not too bad. Could have been worse, but it wasn't too bad. But anyways, I'm talking about the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles games. Now, I got the first game, and of course this was like years and years ago, so that does not qualify for this video. And it's a game I can't fucking stand, but I play it anyways because I'm a dork that way, and I'm trying to beat it. I've never beaten the game before, and it's very difficult. But anyways, I'm going to talk a little bit about the follow-up to the game, and it's a much better, more excellent sequel, and such a huge step up from the original. I'm talking about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, the arcade game. I almost said Turtles in Time, that's the fourth game, sorry about that, but the arcade game. Now, I remember the first time I ever played the actual arcade game, it was on my 11th birthday. This is actually a really cool story. Let's see, on my 11th birthday, this is like around, this is 1990, my mom did something pretty cool, and I gotta give her a major thumbs up for this. She actually called in to my school and said I was sick. I was sick. Because, it was my birthday. It was on I think it was on a Friday, if I'm not mistaken. I may have to look at the calendar, but anyways, it was on my birthday. Didn't want to go to school, so my mom actually did something pretty cool. Called in, told him I was sick, and then my brother, he had he was working at the time. He had the day off, so he actually took me to Godfather's Pizza that was in Clinton, Iowa. It's since been converted into a Mexican restaurant, which is okay. Not, it's good food. I just kind of wish it was still Godfather's Pizza. But anyways, this show is not endorsed by, it's not sponsored by Godfather's Pizza or anything else. But anyways, when we walked in there, right to the left of the door, they had a couple of arcade games set up, and one of them was the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles arcade game. And my eyes just lit right the hell up. And Tim knew, my late brother Tim, he looked up, he looked up. He looked down at me, he saw that I was like, I want to play! And he actually took some dollar bills and had them make change in the quarters. And we spent a good portion of that day eating pizza and playing Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And that was one of the coolest days of my child life, But I was really happy when this game was actually ported to the NES, and there's other home ports of this as well. I don't think any of them are nearly as good as this, but that's just my opinion. But this game, even though it doesn't look graphically the same as the arcade game, it's still pretty damn close, because you couldn't really turn an arcade game into an NES game. You couldn't really make that conversion very well, but this came pretty damn close. And what's really great about this is it throws in 2 bonus levels that were not in the arcade game. There's a snow level where somehow there was a mechanical snowstorm, and New York is just buried in snow. So you have to defeat the level and turn everything back into a very nice spring-like look to the big city, Big Apple. And then the other level was thrown in here was inside of a dojo. And it's just a great game. A lot of fun memories playing this game, and having another copy of it all these years later, I'm very, very stoked. So, and this was another game that was developed by Konami under their sister company, Ultra Games, right there. Because at that time, and I'm sure this is well known throughout the gaming community, Nintendo had a very strict policy about developing games for their system. Each developer was only allowed to have 5 games come out a year. Only 5 games developed and published in a year. Nintendo had basically a monopoly on it. But Konami, well, they actually had some other cool titles that they wanted to come out as well. So they created their sister company, Ultra Games, and this was one of the titles. Pretty sneaky, Konami. And of course, continuing on with the Turtles train, Choo Choo. Boy, that would sound really stupid, didn't it? I've got the game that came out a couple years later for the NES, and this was another game that I passed up, and I feel stupid for doing so. But to be fair, at the time I moved up to the Super Nintendo, so I was always wanting to try new Super Nintendo games. Super Mario World, Castlevania 4, which was a rental game I had rented all the time. All those great games. But I did not try Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3: The Manhattan Project. This game is really awesome. I think what happened with this, with the Turtles franchise with Konami, is they've realized with the first game, it was their first time trying to make a Turtles game. It didn't turn out very well. They had a lot of complaints about it, but they did have the license to make the game, so with the success of the arcade game I just showed you, they thought we'd make a third game. Let's make it kind of like this Turtles 2 arcade game. So here we go. Manhattan Project. Really good. Soundtrack. Much like the other Turtles game, I didn't talk too much about the soundtrack to that game, but the soundtrack for this, awesome. It sounds really good. It's like towards the end of the NES's lifespan where companies were really trying to see what else the system could do, but the soundtrack is amazing. Get digitized Haze in some of the songs, and it's really good. I highly recommend this. And of course, like I said, when I had the Super Nintendo, I was renting games for that, and it isn't really doing much for the NES at the time. It was just starting to be a game system where it's just there in case I got bored, maybe didn't want to play a Super Nintendo game. It was just right there. But another game that I loved renting for the Super Nintendo, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 4, Turtles in Time. This is based on another arcade game that Konami released. This was a couple years after Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the arcade game. And this one, I've actually seen an arcade playthrough of this, and this is pretty damn close to that game. And there's a couple of differences. Number one, some of the enemy placements are different from the arcade game to this. And there's some additional stages in this game that you didn't see in the arcade game. So Konami, they really knew how to go ahead and develop or port a game over and do some bonus features to it. Another bonus is the one futuristic level where you're on, I think it's like some sort of a hoverboard. And in the arcade, it was like a side-scroller, level. Neon Light Riders, like that. I'll have to go back and look at. But on this version, the level's in there, but it's the Mode 7 effect, and it's kind of like F-Zero. That's the way it looked. And once again, trying to see what the Super Nintendo could do, Konami released another gem. This is awesome. If you're a Turtles fan, you don't have this, you owe it to yourself to get this. Awesome game. Love it. And, well, I think Konami kind of realized as well that they were doing a lot of cool things for the Nintendo fans. And Genesis really wasn't getting much love, I think. That's just my opinion. But, considering the major success of Turtles in Time, Konami released an exclusive to the Sega Genesis, and that is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: The Hyperstone Heist. This is basically a love letter to Sega Genesis fans who don't have a Turtles game. And this game is similar to Turtles in Time, but it's a different story. Unlike the first, unlike Turtles 4 right here, where basically Shredder sends the Turtles back in time in order to bring back the Statue of Liberty. Odd idea for a story, but hey, it's the 90s. This one, it has an even more strange story. Shredder actually shrinks Manhattan. It shrinks all of New York. And then he does that with the help of the Hyperstone, which is from Dimension X. Sorry, I had a hiccup there. Sorry about that. And the game is just like Turtles in Time. Beautiful graphics, for Genesis standards, and the soundtrack is pretty good. Of course, the Genesis is known for not having that great of a soundboard, but when you have people like Konami or other developers actually try to work with the soundboard as much as they can to make the game sound really well and make the game sound good, they did a tremendous job. Okay, and this one is very expensive nowadays. I had to pay, and I kid you not, about $75 just to get this. And the only problem I have here, no instructions, but at least I got the case and I got the game, so I'm happy with that. But this game, I fucking love this. I remember beating this game when I was a kid, when I was a teenager. I'm gonna do it again. This game is great. So if you got Genesis, you owe it to yourself to get this. Okay, now we're kind of going to speed things up a little bit because there's a few things else I got to show you, and I'm not going to go too in depth with it. But another game I actually got for the Super Nintendo, and this is pretty much on the heels of the success of Star Fox, when the Super FX chip was released and made the games look really cool at the time, very polygonal, whatever. But this is a nice little follow-up to that, and that is Stunt Race FX. This game, if you've seen the movie Cars, you get kind of a gist of how this works. You're racing around in these vehicles, and these vehicles have eyes, they have personalities. It's weird. It's kind of a crazy game. It's just simply just driving around. The music's okay, it's nothing spectacular. But, it's kind of a little casual fun. If you're a casual gamer, you got a Super Nintendo, you can try to get a copy of this. This is really cheap to find. I got this for like $5. It's easy to find this game. So go ahead. If you want to check it out sometime, there's Stunt Race FX. Last but not least is a book. Yeah, what a way to end this. Really, to end this video is about talking about a book. Now, as some of you guys know, I absolutely am a huge, obsessive fan of Five Nights at Freddy's. Now, I play the games. Only a few videos have actually shown up on the channel, but I play them and I love them. And, wouldn't you know it, to help further push along the story of this series, we have Five Nights at Freddy's: The Silver Eyes, by Scott Cawthon. I don't know. And then some other person, Kira Breed Risley. So this actually tells more of the story about what happened with the animatronics, and then of course the pizzeria, and it takes place 10 years after the events of the very first game. And if you've been following the series like I have, you would know that the series is very peculiar. I can't get words out. You'll know that the story is very peculiar. That's a tough word to say. Because you're jumping either forward or you're going backwards. It's just weird. But every game actually gives you some sort of clue as to what happened way back before the events of the first and second games. This actually kind of lets you guys know how things are going 10 years since then. So I can't wait to pick it up and start reading it. It looks great. It looks like it's going to be a fantastic read. But anyways, guys, that's what I picked up for January of 2016. I'm going to try to make this a monthly thing where whatever new games I get, whether they be actually new games or old retro games, I'm going to actually do a video on those. So to kind of show you guys what my interests are. But next time on Rosecard Let's Play, another awesome video to get you through the day. So, until you hear from me again, I'll see you on the flip side.